imagine being AJ right now? A lot of pressure too, though. Don't get it twisted. You've got to perform in front of 96,000 of your closest friends.
But mamma mia, Rosie, a social media sensation turned boxer has turned the sport on its ear. This is incredible. And what must be going through this 27-year-old's mind, like so many members of his generation, dealing with mental health issues? Here we go!
The matchup between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua has ignited intense debate throughout the boxing world. Many seasoned professionals argue that Joshua holds an overwhelming advantage due to his size, power, and elite-level heavyweight experience. With an Olympic gold medal and a long history of devastating knockouts, Joshua stands as a towering challenge that Jake Paul has never faced before. Although Paul has shown improvement by defeating MMA fighters and lower-tier boxers, he has never shared the ring with a true world-class heavyweight. Analysts say Paul's only realistic hope would come from landing a clean early shot, but even that seems unlikely. Joshua's jab, discipline, and ring IQ would control the pace from the opening bell. Most experts predict a one-sided Joshua stoppage within the first few rounds. While the fight may draw huge entertainment value, boxing professionals overwhelmingly expect Joshua to win with ease.
A few times on it. I mean, there's nothing to report to you that it's close, or there's a lot of hoops to jump through. Of course, AJ is exclusive to DAZN. We also work very closely with His Excellency, and although we have no contract with him, we're in talks for big fights next year. Of course, Tyson Fury being one of them. So we'd definitely give him the respect of making sure that he was aware of the plan and part of that plan as well. But at the moment, there's nothing major to report on that. Would we take the fight? Absolutely. I think Jake would be... I mean, my estimations of Jake Paul would go through the roof if he signed to fight Anthony Joshua, because I just can't believe in my mind that he would do something like that. I mean, Gervonta was a smart one because of his size. I think actually he would have had a lot of success against Jake Paul, but the size is a problem. But this would just be, like if Jake Paul was to take the fight with AJ, you'd really have to maybe carry his balls in a wheelbarrow on the ring walk, because AJ wouldn't mess around in there, so it would be huge, but nothing to tell you it's close.
The event is officially locked in. Jake Paul vs. Anthony Joshua will take place on December 19, 2025, at the Casa Center in Miami, streaming worldwide on Netflix. Importantly, this is not an exhibition, it's a fully sanctioned professional heavyweight contest under Queensberry rules. The bout is scheduled for 8 rounds, 3 minutes each, with 10-ounce gloves. To create a fairer playing field, Joshua has agreed to a contracted fight weight of 245 pounds, which is unusually light for him. Both fighters are putting their official records on the line, meaning this matchup carries real consequences. A knockout is possible, a definitive result is expected, and everything counts toward their professional legacies.
Happening, Jake Paul will face the 2-time unified heavyweight world champion Anthony Joshua on Friday, December the 19th in Miami, Florida. It's going to be an 8-round fight with 3-minute rounds and 10-ounce gloves. It's Joshua's first fight since being knocked out by Daniel Dubois in September last year. Jake Paul won a unanimous decision against veteran Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. earlier this year. Well, Jake Paul said this: a professional heavyweight fight against an elite world champion in his prime. When I beat Anthony Joshua, every doubt disappears and no one can deny me the opportunity to fight for a world title. To all my haters, this is what you wanted. To the people of the United Kingdom.
Fans and experts across the boxing world have voiced strong opinions about Jake Paul's decision to challenge a seasoned heavyweight like Joshua. Many believe Paul's ambition is admirable, but unrealistic. In their eyes, the gap in size, experience, and technical maturity is simply too wide. For most analysts, Paul's decision looks less like a competitive challenge and more like overconfidence bordering on delusion.
The real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, "At Jake Paul is the truth. funny. They say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights, then he asks for the toughest fights ever, and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind, you're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of MVP and someone that...
Veteran fighter Dave Allen has issued a firm warning to Anthony Joshua. He argues that Joshua could actually harm his own reputation by taking this fight. Allen believes that even if Paul lands a single clean punch, regardless of the outcome, it risks undermining Joshua's entire career legacy. He insists the matchup resembles entertainment more than authentic sport. According to Allen, hardcore boxing fans may view the event as a step backward, and Joshua's credibility could take a hit simply for agreeing to face a YouTuber-turned-boxer.
Lost to Tommy Fury. Anthony Joshua cannot box Jake Paul. Horrific. He's dangerous for one, and two, if Jake Paul even lands a glove on him, it just diminishes everything that he's achieved. Jake Paul won't last 2 minutes for me. Never mind Anthony Joshua, it's ridiculous, it's a joke.
If AJ does say yes to going in against Jake Paul, does he harm his legacy?
I would lose a bit of respect for him. I think a lot of boxing people would as well, to be honest. Why would he box him? Two-time heavyweight champion of the world, one of the best heavyweights of the last 20 years, held British boxing on his back. People might say he deserves to box Jake Paul. But why though? Why would he do it?
Did you lose respect from when he fought Ngannou? Did you lose respect from Fury when he fought Ngannou?
Ngannou's a serious fighting man. World champion in mixed martial arts.
It's a worrying thing, potentially, the damage that AJ could do to Jake Paul.
He'll hurt him. Yeah, Jake Paul is a cruiserweight. You wouldn't put the Midlands area cruiserweight champion with Anthony Joshua, so why would you put Jake Paul in that? Just because he's a superstar, whatever. I don't know what he does. What does he do? What is he?
A YouTuber.
It's just not worth it. He's got enough money as it is. Why risk all that for a few more quid? I don't like it.
As the bout is being treated as a legitimate professional contest rather than an exhibition, boxing legend Roy Jones Jr. has dismissed the idea that Jake Paul could become a real world champion. Jones argues Paul has avoided truly dangerous, battle-tested opponents and insists that high-level experienced fighters would expose him quickly. While Jones admits Paul may eventually receive a title shot due to fame and marketability, he believes it would happen only under highly favorable circumstances, not because Paul genuinely earns it. In Jones Jr.'s view, the chances of Paul winning a meaningful world championship remain very slim.
Will become a world champion?
No.
Why?
I think if they make him fight tough opponents, guys with experience, those guys will beat him. Now, if you catch somebody like myself at the end of their career, or somebody like Tyson or Lee Carter at the end of their career, the chances are much higher. Because now it becomes more of a 50-50. You got a guy who's better than him, but the age factor. You understand me? And that's the only way to balance it for him to make it a 50-50 fight. Somebody who's on his level at the same age, those guys have too much experience. You understand me? So he's not going to beat those guys. But you find a guy who is past his prime, who has the mentality further than his, but past their prime, it kind of...
Anthony Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn, has also criticized Jake Paul's abilities, calling him an average boxer. Hearn doubts Paul possesses the skill, power, or technical foundation needed to compete anywhere near the elite heavyweight level. He acknowledges that Paul has improved, but insists the gap between him and fighters like Joshua remains enormous.
For the sport of boxing?
Yes, I know these guys. They're unbelievably bright. I mean, Logan, much brighter than Jake, in my opinion. But Jake's smart. Okay. You know, content, we have our ups and downs. Yeah. I respect Jake. I actually respect him in a boxing sense as well. But we fell out because I told him he was average. That's actually a compliment. Like, to be an average fighter, coming to this kid who's 26, 27, decides to go into boxing. We had a conversation where he's actually telling me he's going to beat Canelo Alvarez. And I'm looking around for cameras. I'm thinking, am I mic'd up?
Hearn further reminded the public of Jake Paul's outrageous claims, such as saying he could beat Canelo Alvarez. Hearn finds such statements absurd, arguing that Paul is massively overestimating his abilities. While Paul has victories over former MMA stars and low-ranked boxers, the idea that he could challenge elite fighters like Canelo or Joshua is considered laughable by most experts in the sport.
Looks like Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul might be in discussions to fight. They were both on a call to each other earlier, and the viral video went round of Jake Paul saying he would knock out Anthony Joshua. If I'm being completely honest, I think Jake Paul would actually be lucky to make it out alive, and I'm actually being dead serious. I think Jake Paul would be lucky to make it out of the ring with Anthony Joshua alive. Tyron Woodley literally had Jake Paul on skates and had Jake Paul panicking for his life. Imagine what Anthony Joshua would do. Look at what Joshua did to the last non-boxer he fought in, Francis Ngannou. That is not going to end well for Jake Paul. But look, let's be real here. This fight should never happen. It's an absolute disgrace in the sport if it does. And yeah, there's got to be a lot of backlash if this actually happens, because it's actually probably worse to the sport of boxing than what Fury in Ngannou was when it came around, or, you know, yeah, or Mayweather-McGregor.
Outspoken pundit Simon Jordan has unleashed one of the strongest criticisms yet. He claims the matchup mocks the sport of boxing and disrespects its history. According to Jordan, Jake Paul lacks the legitimacy and pedigree to stand against a heavyweight icon like Joshua. He argues that pairing them together cheapens the credibility of the sport and turns a legitimate competition into a sideshow spectacle. Jordan warns that Paul would be demolished in such a fight and adds that the bout diminishes Joshua's image by associating him with a non-elite opponent.
Player welfare, he's in a situation where someone's welfare should be considered in the equation, not his financial welfare. But Jake Paul going into a fight with Anthony Joshua, to me, is absurd. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a legitimate two-time heavyweight champion of the world. He may have got destroyed by Daniel Dubois, but notwithstanding, there's nothing physically wrong with Anthony Joshua that he can't execute. Mentally, he might be in a little bit of a difficult position after the loss to Daniel Dubois. Jake Paul, if this is not going to be, curated into a little dance around exhibition, could find himself in a way of getting seriously hurt here, like Francis Ngannou did. Francis Ngannou was an MMA fighter that got blasted out by Anthony Joshua. A fitter, more focused Anthony Joshua than the version that we've got now, possibly. But this, to me, is everything that's wrong with boxing. It's a money play, nothing wrong. I don't begrudge Anthony Joshua getting 50 million quid for an easy night's work. That's fantastic returns. Most people would take it. From the boxing world, Jake Paul is now a professional fighter. Whether we categorise him as a YouTuber or not, he's licensed to fight, which means that the governing body should be suggesting that this is not a fight that possibly they should be looking to sanction.
Yeah.
But they will, because the sanctioning fees will be enormous. Anthony Joshua will not lose his legacy like some people are suggesting, because no one will remember it in 2 or 3 years' time. If he embarrasses himself in there, they'll remember it. If he goes in and knocks him out in 30 seconds flat, or turns it into a little bit more of a sort of Jake LaMotta raging bull, holding him up for a few rounds and then knocking him out, then people will forgive it. He'll get a big bag of money, which most people in the world would take, and move on. And then we'll see if he fights anybody meaningful in the year. I mean, it is like sport has become. And what I got my head around on Saturday night was the entertainment value of Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. The fighting of itself, I could Bill Pius about it, but the entertainment industry is so prevalent in sport now. This is entertainment. This is going to have hundreds of millions of people watching it.
Of course.
And Anthony Joshua gets paid, and Jake Paul hopefully gets flattened.
Simon, I know the money's there, but does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. But I think boxing damages itself left, right and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway. But I think it does get damaged.
Even if it's an exhibition fight, which it might well be.
Well, then what's the jeopardy in that? If it's an exhibition fight, which it shouldn't be, if it's a proper fight, then Jake Paul is going to get
David Benavidez, however, offers a different viewpoint. He acknowledges that Jake Paul is one of the biggest names in boxing today, but not because of skill. Rather, Paul's star power draws major attention, huge audiences, and massive financial opportunities. While many purists criticize Paul's ability, Benavidez believes his presence benefits the business side of the sport.
Guys, I'm Trisha Wong, and I'm here with David Benavidez. What are you looking forward to the most tonight at Bare Knuckle?
Honestly, this is my first time being at a Bare Knuckle fight, and it's already starting amazing. And I'm just here to come to see the gore, the blood, and all that, so it's been living up tonight.
I want to ask you about Jake Paul wanting to fight Anthony Joshua. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a good fight. If they can make it happen, then let's do it. You know what I mean? Jake Paul is a big household name. Anthony Joshua, needless to say, he's one of the greatest champions of boxing. So if they can get it done, that'll be a huge fight for boxing, and I say let's do it.
You were in the talks to fight Jamal. What are your thoughts on that? Is it in the works? When is it happening?
So right now we're trying to negotiate the fight. It might be in the works for September. We don't know. You know, everything in boxing is not 100%. So we're just going to keep trying to negotiate the fight. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But
Heavyweight veteran Derek Chisora has blasted the idea of Jake Paul receiving a WBC ranking. He argues it would disrespect fighters who worked their way up through years of grueling competition. Chisora claims Paul's potential ranking would be awarded due to fame rather than merit, calling it a disgrace to boxing. He also criticizes WBC president Mauricio Suleiman, accusing him of sacrificing the sport's integrity for money. True rankings, Chisora insists, must be earned inside the ring.
They've said they're going to give a cruiserweight ranking to the winner of this fight. Do you think they deserve one?
No, I don't think so. I don't know why. It's hard enough for real athletes, for real boxers, to get those rankings, and then suddenly this Solomon Souza decides to give double ranking because he's getting some greens in his, in his back pocket. No,
Lawrence Oakley has voiced serious concerns over the safety of Jake Paul stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua. Although Oakley once sparred with Paul and acknowledged his work ethic, he believes this matchup is dangerously mismatched. Many experts share his concern. Eddie Hearn called the idea very dangerous, Frank Warren warned it is a huge physical mismatch, and former world champion Amir Khan dramatically stated that Paul could be killed in the ring. These strong warnings reflect the belief that a heavyweight with Joshua's explosive power presents severe risk to someone of Paul's experience level.
You on this nonsense?
Where am I? I can't see it happening. I can't. Although yes, lots of money, so on and so forth. I can't see it. I just can't. It just obviously as someone who's been a unified heavyweight world champion going in against Jake, well, it just doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah, and it's like I'm also talking from a health and safety factor. It's like he's maybe a cruiserweight.
Yeah.
I think Joshua's a very big, strong heavyweight, and if he turns it on, it's not just a risk of a knockout. It's a much bigger risk. So I can't see it personally.
Former world champion Carl Fruck remains dismissive of Jake Paul's boxing skills. After watching Paul's performance against Tommy Fury, Fruck said Paul doesn't truly know how to box and simply jumps around the ring. He called the Fury fight a mismatch and insisted Paul is nowhere near being a legitimate contender.
Take Jake Paul that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. He swings away, stands up straight, and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, there's just so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like you put him in with someone his own size. It was a professional. It's a mismatch, and you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him. He's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level, and then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds.
MMA fighter Darren Till has also criticized Paul's callouts. Till believes Jake Paul has not earned the right to challenge someone like Anthony Joshua and is stepping far outside his league. Paul went even further by claiming Joshua has no chin and lacks skill, comments that sparked outrage among boxing fans and analysts. Considering Joshua's achievements, fights against world-class opponents like Vladimir Klitschko and Alexander Usyk, and multiple championship wins, many view Paul's comments as nothing more than attention-seeking disrespect.
Is it all just... Does he actually believe that he can beat Anthony Joshua? Is it all for clout? Is it all just to keep his... I don't know. I mean, fucking... It's a little bit disrespectful as well. Like, Anthony Joshua hasn't fucking been a heavyweight world champion, beating all these absolute killers just to get called out by Jake Paul. But look, if Jake Paul believes in himself, then, you can't really fault that. Like, obviously, but sometimes it comes across as a bit delusion as well. Because I know for the fact that I'd fight Jake, I'd beat him up easy.
Some analysts argue that the Paul versus Joshua matchup damages boxing's overall credibility. They see it as part of a troubling trend where celebrity crossover fights overshadow legitimate competition. These mismatches focus on entertainment rather than athletic excellence, risking long-term harm to the sport's integrity. When fame becomes more important than merit, they argue, the purity of boxing slowly erodes.
Paul hopefully gets flattened.
I know the money's there, but does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. But I think boxing damages itself left, right and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway. But I think it does get damaged.
Even if it's an exhibition fight, which it might well be.
Well, then what's the jeopardy in that? If it's an exhibition fight, which it shouldn't be, if it's a proper fight, then Jake Paul is...
What do you think? Is Jake Paul challenging Anthony Joshua a brilliant strategic move, or the biggest mistake of his career?